All right. Good morning, everybody. It is an awesome day to have a coaching call. And April Fools, but no fooling around today, right? Someone else will. A special shout out. And she's probably not even on the call, but so you know, it is Amy Clark's birthday for those of you who are here. And boy, she's one of those first few agents in the company, like a Ruby and Brenda Lee and others. And always so grateful for people who have stayed by our side for so many years. All right. Markets, just even the small group that we have right now. Let's just jump into that. So let's just talk a little bit about just the markets in general. So the Federal Reserve, and then we'll jump into some principles here, but just as a side note and a starting point in regards to the market, the Federal Reserve, oh, actually, now it's nearly almost 2 weeks ago, but about 10 days ago, came out and officially said that they're going to be adjusting rates, declining them, most likely 0.25% increments on the Federal Reserve. I'm not going to get into the great details of every piece of the market, but I just want to remind any and every one of us that 18 minutes a day, I'm just going to do the math. Let's just say you wanted to spend 1,000 hours a week, 1,000 hours a year in 1,000 hours, then we're going to times that by 60. So 60,000 minutes divided by 365. In order, 100 hours. That's right, 100. Okay, sorry, messing it all up. That's why I need to do the math. 100 hours a year equals 18 minutes a day, approximately, for you to become a master of the actual market. And a lot of people will say, well, George, how do you know so much about the market? I don't study the market for hours. I'm not certainly Warren Buffett studying market conditions like a gentleman, an individual like he does. But what I do is I make sure I spend about 15 minutes, even though 18 is 100 hours a year. But imagine if you spent 100 hours a year looking at this stuff. So just a good reminder that, I may have some tidbits here or there, or I may say this or that. You may say, well, gosh, where did you get that? And we can talk about from the Wall Street Journal to NAR to HUD to Riz Media to Inman News to all sorts of different sources that you could look at for information. But in its whole, looking for all that information is good, but it's really the consistency of that, let's just say 18 minutes a day, even though I round it down, where I spend about 15 minutes a day studying the market. So going back to what I was talking about, I just before I get to that, I would encourage you, become a master of the market, a master of the market. Number two, going back to, so Federal Reserve is going to drop it by 3 times in the next year, over this year. Likely that they will only move it 0.25% each time they move it. And so people have asked the question, well, how does that impact ultimately mortgage rates? And will it have a profound impact on mortgage rates? And the answer is, oh yeah, for sure, it will, in a number of different ways. And let me just give you 3 ways that I think are ones to pay attention to. One, you're going to see consumer confidence go up. Right. So consumer confidence is going to increase. It's going to improve. Consumers are going to be more committed to the home buying or home selling process because the economy is stronger, businesses are stronger, and things are going and trailing or navigating the right direction. And because of that, it makes it to where it's like, okay, well, is the consumer confidence even that big of a deal? And yes, it is. But the second thing is what it's going to do is with the changes is it's going to make what I would consider commercial lending, things like from car payments, car loans, credit cards, any commercial type of lending, all of these are impacted by what the federal rates are doing. And for business loans out into the marketplace, where businesses expand, grow, and develop, they're able to have the proper financing in place because the rates are lower, and it makes a big difference. There's a lot of apartments, guys, just to give you perspective of this, there's a lot of apartments across the US that are going to have some really serious problems. And the reason they're going to have serious problems, when I say apartments, like, why would the apartment be such a problem? Well, when they started the construction loan on one interest rate, and then they had all of their estimations and all their pro forma and forecasts scheduled for a similar rate or one that was conducive to what the markets were doing at the time. And so commercial buildings, office buildings, and also apartments are a really, really big deal in relationship to what rates are doing on the federal side, because they're not considered mortgage rates. So just that in itself is a huge deal in regards to business expansion, commercial lending, interest rates from credit cards to car loans, just even small loans from the banks, small business, you name it, the rates coming down are going to help. And the third, of course, is the lending side of it in relationship to mortgage. So when we talk about consumer confidence, people then will be able to afford more. There'll be more stability in their business and in their lives because of the businesses are stabler or more stable. And then the third is mortgage rates, like I'm talking about. Now, here's the thing. It's interesting. What do they believe mortgage rates are going to do? Well, this is what at least the quote experts are saying. You're going to have 0.75% reduction in the Federal Reserve. The second thing, though, that's going to do is then the question is, okay, well, how does it impact specifically the 10-year Treasury? The feeling, the consensus is that interest rates will drop about 3/8 of a point to most 0.5% in mortgage in 2024. Well, in so many words, they're saying, look, if it's going to drop 0.75%, we're going to take half of that, and we're going to reduce the mortgage rates by our expectation. So all the forecasts, all the expectations are all about the fact that rates are going to go down, give or take 3/8 of a point to the maximum of 0.5% in 2024. And then the belief is in 2025 is that rates will drop just even a little bit more. So as you guys move through this process of this market, I just want to point out just a couple of things. I pointed out from a place of education. I point out because I think that knowing what's going on bridges this gap of lack of confidence and making sure that you have confidence, but be really conscious and aware in relationship to this market and the impact of it in home buying and home selling and why people are holding back and why people aren't progressing and why people aren't moving or why they aren't putting a home on the market. All of these things are so important to your long-term success of knowing that consumer confidence is going to go up, lending practices outside of mortgage is going to be lower, and mortgages are going to be lower. So the key factor, the main principle today that I want to talk about don't shut me off when I say this to you, but I want to talk about the fact that, okay, assuming the market's going to be reasonable, assuming, again, by the way, Wednesday, Russ Orchard, 11 a.m., NAR, compliance, what's going on, how do you handle it, how do you maneuver, expectations, Q&A, you name it, he's going to be doing it. So just if you can, make sure also this coming Wednesday, 2 days or 3 days from now, 11 a.m., of course, you can do it live, or if you want to do it by Zoom, whatever is best for you, but we'd love to see you in the conference room. I'll be there. I'm looking forward to being there. It's going to be a great meeting of strategic planning, strategic approaches to the business. I think you'll find it to be incredibly beneficial. I think it's going to elevate some of those confidences. But with all the changes, speaking of that change, with all those changes in the market, changes in interest rates, changes in loan programs, changes in agents, changes in belief systems, changes in commissions, change. But the one thing that seems to be consistent is this one thing, which is your consistency of talking to people. Now, I know this isn't a new concept, so don't be backing off the call just because I'm like, hey, let's talk about this prospecting thing for a second. But you really need to pay attention. And one of the things that you want to pay attention to is that you wanting or desiring a better life in business and in this game we call real estate has so much to do with the amount of context, conversations, and people you talk to. And so consistently, what will happen is I'll talk to an agent and I'll say, hey, you've got all these deals under contract. How do you think you got to that point? How did you get here? And almost always, Well, I was calling my sphere. I was following up on leads. I was making conversation. I was talking to people. And then they have these deals, whether it's a few deals or a lot of deals closed. And as a general statement, not every agent, but as a general statement, what ends up happening is they, you ask them, well, wait, how's the next month looking? Oh gosh, I've got nothing, George, in the pipeline. Well, how come? Because even while the deals were happening, they stopped prospecting. So I just want to remind you that in the midst of this market, market highs, lows, good and bad, whatever way you're looking at this market, just remember, you can't get where you want to get to if you don't, make sure that or if you don't talk to people. So don't underestimate the magnitude of importance of talking with people. So many times I will meet with agents, and as I'm meeting with them, I'll ask them how many contacts, how many conversations, and it's 3 or 4 a day. Guys, you can't create repetition and duplication in a business by just talking to a few people a day. You can't create duplication and replication and replicating situations in your business by just doing social media. You can't replicate it if you're going to just buy business with overabundance and overzealousness of monies and expense going out to the marketplace to buy leads and wait for business to happen. The core of this industry is the bedrock of this industry to succeed in it is to prospect and talk with people. Now, with that being said, over the next few minutes, what I really want to talk about is ultimately this. We all have philosophies in the way in which we build our business. We all have philosophies in the ways in which we're going to be doing things. And the challenge is sometimes when we're doing business, although we keep doing it a certain way, we never just kind of lift our head up, look around for a minute, and ask the question, are we doing it in a way that really works? Are we doing it in a way that has scalability, predictability, reliability? And if you aren't, then the question is, well, what then needs to happen within your business model, within your philosophy of running a business? What has to happen to make it to where you are comfortable? What has to happen to making sure that you do feel good about it? What has to happen to where you can replicate the process? And let's just, Wednesday, of course, we'll talk more on this, but I want to ask the question, what happens in July for you? What happens to your philosophy of this business and how you choose to do it? What happens in relationship to this business in the sense of, are you always going to work with buyers? Are you only going to work with buyers? Are you going to make a commitment to change maybe your philosophy about the way you think about this business? Say, hey, wait a second here. Maybe I need to do a little bit more here. Maybe I need to really focus in on my desire, my ability, my commitment to my desire for more listings or my business model with more listings. And I just tell you that if you don't do that, if you don't get more listings, if you don't make it a priority to get listings, then there's no question that you're going to be at the mercy of some of these market issues that we're dealing with specific to commissions. It doesn't mean that buyers won't buy. It doesn't mean that but even I'm watching my son negotiate an offer and it's being double-sided. And what's the conversation? It's all about the commissions and the lawsuit. And why does he have to pay it? Because I thought he didn't have to pay it. And now you have a situation where the buyer doesn't want to pay it, seller doesn't want to pay it. So now what? But the one thing that's consistent today is what you will be paid, how you will be paid when you take a listing. What is awesome is that there is no fight on a listing. Now, does that mean don't work with buyers? No. Do you need to be more skilled, more transparent, more clear, with more clarity? Do you have to be a great salesperson? Yes. Yes. Because it's just not automatic that you're going to get paid in a lot of these scenarios. And so as you move through your journey, you say, man, what is my philosophy? What do I really think about how I consider looking at this business model of listings and buyers? How you look at it is so critically important, because how you look at it is where you'll spend your time and your energy. So get really conscious as to the way in which you're building this business. Our business is changing, but is it for good or bad? I would argue not so good for the state of Utah, the way that they're doing it. So that's okay. How do you maneuver around that? How do you maneuver and navigate yourself through it? Well, I would just echo to you, you have to talk to more people, and you have to be focused on taking and selling listings. And if you can do that, great things are going to happen. So with that being said, let me just say this. Your focus point, guys, needs to be on predictability and duplication. Maybe you get something from Facebook. Maybe you get something from Instagram. Great. Keep posting. Knock yourself out. But when we're talking about the core of this business, and we're talking about how do you replicate and predict an outcome, it's not just sit in open houses. It's not just send mailers. It's not just calling occasionally your sphere. It's more than that. It's getting really predictable outcomes that if you call this many people in this particular source of business, you're going to get this type of return, and this is what will happen. That is a critical component to your success and long-term success, is absolutely knowing those things. So as you move through your career or this moment in history in this business, get really serious about predictability. Get really serious about the sources of business you going after. Get very, very serious about the time that you're going to spend with talking to new people. The time. How much time will you spend each day? And I know that many of you are like, oh, I don't really want to commit to a time. I don't really like to do my business that way. But I can tell you that if you do not, that there will be some major challenges ahead for you, because you won't be able to predict and replicate your business. And so my message today is about predictability. It's about repetition. It's about replicating what you do daily so that you can have consistency in your business, long-term, short-term, and basically all the time. You have it because the people you talk to, and because of the focus you put specifically more on even listings. And if you will do those two things with the focus, I'm going to talk to people, predict the outcomes, then all of a sudden good things happen. It's the problem when we're discouraged, or we lack the trust, or we lack the energy to say, man, this is the way I'm going to do my business. And if it doesn't work even this week that way, I might tweak it again and again, but I'm going to create predictability to my business. I'm going to be able to predict the outcome. If I talk to this many people, this many appointments, this many listings, and this is how many will sell. That's a predictable business. If you were the CEO of a company, which you are, which is yours, by the way, if you were a CEO, let me ask you, could you show up at a shareholder meeting and they go, hey, so how are we going to predict our future revenue? And you go, well, we're going to wait to see who calls us. We're going to spend massive amounts of money in advertising and hope that we nurture some leads. And we're really hopeful that we'll call a few of them and that'll work out. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're waiting and buying for business. Well, you know as well as I do, if you were the CEO, people would be like, what? You were the CEO. People would be like, what on earth? That's not a business plan. That's a recipe for disaster. You mean you're going to spend a ton of money and wait for deals to happen? Yep, sounds good. And yet, that's how so many agents live their business, waiting and begging and struggling and begging and being hopeful, which is not a strategy for business, and being hopeful and living in this weird space in life where it's like, wait, hold on a second. What are we doing? Where's the predictability? Where's the duplication? Where's the reliability? Well, the only way you get that is you get really clear on the story that you're telling yourself, which is, what is your schedule? What is your activity? What is the minimum amount of people that you're talking to? What is the minimum amount or maximum or the whatever it is you want to accomplish in the sense of your business? What is it that you want to do? In closing up here, which means we're 17 minutes away, just kidding. But I just want you to think about something. How good would it be for you if you laid your head down on your pillow at night and you knew that you'd done exactly what you needed to do to succeed in this game of real estate we call, real estate today and real estate sales, what would have to happen? Well, what I would tell you on a personal level, you have everything within you to do this business. You don't have to wait. You don't have to spend large amounts of money. You don't have to do things that don't make any sense. So just remember, as you move through this journey, just remember what you're capable of doing, what you're willing to break through, what you can make happen for you. Don't underestimate it, because it can be so powerful in relationship to that. Okay, guys, predictability, reliability, duplication, that's the core to successful business. Finding lead sources and making a relentless effort to call them, door knock them, and do what needs to be done to live the life you're destined to live. That's how you do it. That's how you make it happen. That's how it all comes together. So don't underestimate the magnitude and the power of your activity, your direction, your new philosophy, the amount of people you're going to talk to, the difference that you're going to make because you showed up, because you're doing it different today. Okay. Any last thoughts, comments, anything I can share that would be helpful for you? Any questions from anybody? Any thoughts? Okay. Well, guys, I just want you to know something, and I believe this with all my heart. There is literally nothing in this business you can't learn, nothing in this business you cannot do. So create predictability, reliability, and duplication of process for what you're doing. And if you will make that the primary focus, everything comes together. So step up into talking to more people, step up into helping more people because you called them, step up into this arena that sometimes is where the tension is, but step into it. Just like the buffalo who puts its head down and drives itself through the storms, or the cow that runs with the storm, runs away from the storm, and stays in the storm even longer, because the way in which they're doing things is they're running away instead of embracing, engaging, and putting your head down and getting to work. Okay, guys, you are amazing. And yes, whoever's iPhone 138, it is business as usual. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, guys, and just know I'm here if you need anything. Just realize that this is still is an amazing business to build tremendous wealth and a future that is full of your dreams, your goals, and the desires that you've set in place. Okay, guys, you're amazing. Have an incredible week, and let's rock and roll.